right, we are live. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Vision Possible live Q&A for December of 2022. Ryan, how are you?
Doing okay. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, doing good. Julianne and I are here. We're in my little space capsule because
Yes.
we've been sent to a planet for safety because things on Earth aren't going so well. So we're going to be here in this new capsule here, and we're going to watch things from above and help out if we can.
Yes.
Sounds great.
I think it's just going to be us for just a minute. We had a few things. Nathaniel.
No,
wasn't able to come.
Nathaniel can't join, and Carly's going to be a little bit late. And we started an hour earlier again this month.
So we will go back to our normal time the following month. But
yeah, we're going to make sure we're at 5 o'clock Pacific time next time we do this. And we're just glad everybody's here. If you guys have any comments or questions, please leave them. I see we got Peyton on, Hannah's on, Alexandra's on, and we got a bunch of people have questions already, which is really good. But Ryan, let's hear from you right now. What have you been doing for the last month? How are things been going?
Good, but busy. Just trying to finish up my last term of school to get my certified financial planning designation. So that's been hot and heavy. Finishing up the end of the year. It's always crazy in the financial world because everybody's trying to get their end of year strategies and stuff in, but that's good when you're self-employed, right? So it's busy.
Yeah.
Sounds like the same for you guys too. Last time
I was just going to say that everybody. Yes, we all are doing our own different thing, meaning in whatever whatever field that we're in. But it takes a lot of time to do what you're doing, Ryan. I mean, how long has this process been?
Well, just for the CFP designation, I started over a year ago. And for some of these, clients I've been working with, that's been over a year-long process too. That's just now coming to fruition. So it's seed time and harvest.
So CFP is something
certified.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. All right. And so are you going to school for that? Or, are you actually going to a school? Are you doing it online?
Yeah, I am doing it online. There's some in person, but it is no joke. This is not your easy fly-by-night online school. This is very much a rigorous academic master's level program, which is a lot, but it's good. It's been an amazing way that I feel the Lord has really confirmed my vision and the calling and gifts and passions he equipped me with. And the classes are awesome and they're confirming it, but there's a lot of work, and I'm just hoping to get through December 18th, which is the end of the term. And then I can finally start the next phase, which is studying for and passing the very rigorous CFP comprehensive exam. So good microcosm.
Is that it then? Then you get certified?
Yeah. And then I may have to wait a couple months for the experience requirements. You got to have at least 3 years. So it's a multi-step process. But as you guys can obviously attest to, anything worth pursuing in life when it comes to your vision is definitely going to be an in-depth process, but hopefully it should be enjoyable and rewarding.
Yes, absolutely.
I think you can, everybody can attest to the fact that whatever it is you're going for, whether it's, a financial planning degree, which scares the heck out of me, by the way, I'm glad someone's doing it besides me, or you're doing a cartoon or writing a screenplay or selling a book or whatever it is, there is a huge amount of time that goes into developing it, getting it set up. And most people will start falling away after the first few little obstacles come up. It's almost like the parable of the sower in the Bible. Some of the seed hits the wayside. Some actually gets planted but doesn't last very long. Some falls into bad ground that can't breathe. And some actually start sprouting up and does yield a harvest. And even at that point, even the ones that yield a harvest yielded 30, 60, and some 100-fold. There's different levels of yielding. But guys, I'm just here to encourage you. All of us are here to encourage you. Keep at what you're doing. You can only lose if you quit. And a lot of you are very young. A lot of you that watch this are so young, and it's such an honor to have you guys here. You're young. You have your whole life ahead of you and your whole career ahead of you. It's just great to see you trying so hard. Even coming on a little broadcast right here that we're doing where we want to just impart to you as a great first step.
So I want to ask Ryan, just for a little bit of an intro here, like how much, how do you plan your day you have your studying, you have your classes, you also have clients, and you should have some kind of a social life. or you have none. How do you balance that out?
Yeah, Ryan, are you out partying all the time?
I am not at all. I will be partying when I finish this whole thing, but I think to be honest, I have not been as great with my time management over the last couple of months, and I had to drop one of my elective courses last week, which is okay because I didn't need it for the CFP. It was just kind of an extra course, which is great and enjoyable, but it was just too much. I was like, yeah, this is not. So sometimes I guess establishing priorities and seeing, instead of dropping all the balls by trying to juggle everything, sometimes you have to kind of make a decision to cut. A decision really actually means to cut from. That's actually the root word of that. And that's what I had to do. But I think it's going to be worth it because it opened up a lot more just like, mental bandwidth and wasn't quite as overwhelmed. I'll probably come back to it later, but, and sometimes things don't go exactly as you plan. I had every intention of getting a bunch of stuff done the last couple of days. And then, a lot of last second client things came up just right before this call even, but you kind of just pivot and adjust and hopefully keep some semblance of organization and structure. And like Butch said, just keep at it. And you won't fail if you don't quit.
I see you spend a lot of time growing that beard too. So right there, that's a huge amount. It's a huge effort.
Nice accomplishment. Yes.
I shave mine every day, which takes extra time.
I think that it takes less time because he doesn't have to shave.
That's what I mean. He just lets it fly, man. Are you going to go on for the full ZZ Top beard? Is that what you're going for?
No. It's as the gray hair starts coming in, they get kind of unruly. So I just got a haircut and realized I got to kind of trim those more because they kind of stick out every which way. They don't fall in line. So it takes a little bit more sometimes, but I would say Butch probably has to spend more time than I do on an average day.
Well, hey man, it's a whole team that does me every day.
Well,
it's
good to know that, it's like Ryan said, he didn't really handle some of his priorities well in the last couple of months or weeks, but it happens to all of us. So, but we get to like sit back and take an assessment of things at a time and say, okay, whoa, put the brakes on, because I have to do this. And a lot of people are like, you haven't called me back. You haven't emailed me. And I have to look at what is burning on the stove right now.
Yeah.
And that is the most important thing, because we have so many events, so many things that we're doing. For instance, like we just had our big premiere for The Garden, which is our new Christian cartoon that we just launched, and it's on PureFlix right now for the Christmas episode. But we had this big launch. Well, I had to drop everything last week and completely only focus on this. And the week before was Thanksgiving. So, it's like we all have things coming at us. We have to travel at the end of this week. We've got a lot to plan as we're going on that trip. But like, I've got to go, what is hot right now? What do I need to get onto right now? And sometimes some people do fall by the wayside. Not that we mean to, but we have to take priorities and know that, we'll get to those other tasks or those other people that are trying to get a hold of us as soon as we're ready.
Alexandra says, wow, it's the last Q&A of 2022. And it is the last Q&A of 2022. But let me ask you guys a question. What do you have to do over the next 12 months by the time we get to the next last of the year Q&A of 2023? What do you guys have to do to make your dream a reality or get closer to making your dream a reality in the next 12 months? What can you do every month to make your dream a reality? I got a couple of questions here. People have written in.
What Butch says is, what do you have to do when you're sitting here in December of 2023 and you've said, wow, this has been the best year ever?
Right.
What has to happen all the next 12 or 11 and a half months for you to be able to say that?
Mm-hmm. To say, this has been the greatest year of my life. How do I do that? You know what I mean? What do you have to do to make that a reality? And 1 second here, I'm trying to do some stuff online. So I got has anyone got a question? Put your question in the chat. Let me see. Tony Oni Savage says, has there ever been a certain setback from someone or something where your career path got shifted to another kind of passionate interest? Because that's what happened to me from drawing to writing 7 years ago. Has any big, huge upheaval happened in your life? Anybody?
Well,
where a whole new career came out of it?
Well, it's interesting because back in 2008, well, before that, before 2008, from 1990, that when I started working.
Wait, start again. Do that timeline.
So in 1990.
Okay, you start at the
yes.
beginning.
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
I got you.
From 1990, I know I went backwards on that. I was involved in Taibo. It's an exercise. Billy Blank's Taibo, was super involved until 2008. I got sick and I couldn't do any of it. So I had a career change real quick. And my career was that I, was there 6 days a week, and that was my life. And then when I got sick, I couldn't do anything. So all of a sudden, I am home and sick. And what am I going to do now? Like, that was my whole. What do I do with myself now? How do I move on from here? And what is next? But I just had to trust God that He had my next steps for me, and not that I could see them, but I just knew if I trusted God, He would show them to me. And He did. And now look where I am. 2022, we just launched this amazing show for, for children 3 to 8 years old. We get to that. I have a whole healing platform on YouTube. We have our whole Vision Possible platform. It's like, look what can happen in your life if you just trust God, even though it may not have gone the way you wanted it to.
And that is the key too, guys. We are Christian people. Many of you out there probably aren't, or maybe you are, I don't know. But we put our trust in the hands of the Lord, because there are a lot of things we just can't figure out on our own. And that's where we've come to in our life. That's the point we've reached in our life, where we're like, you know what, let's pray about this. Let's lay it before the feet of Jesus. Let's lay it at the foot of the cross and see what He says about it. Because quite honestly, we tried it our way for many, many years, and we really were sort of stumbling in the dark and bumping our heads and things like that. So there's going to be times in your life where, you ask if there was a setback. Julianne might view that as a setback, but I look at it as a step up. Actually, I don't think it was a setback. It definitely was a change.
It felt like it. I know it wasn't. I think it was. Yeah. It definitely was a step up. But at the time, I'm thinking this is the worst thing ever.
Yeah, right? I think it definitely made a big difference. But it's all in how you look at it. And you were sort of forced to stop doing what you did, because it was kind of at a point in that career where you did need to make a change and do something different.
Right.
And, for me, when I left Nickelodeon in 2018, I left, that was, almost 5 years. I can't believe it's been 5 years now. But I left because I really felt in my heart I had to start doing my own stuff. And I've been there 20 years. That'd been a long time. That's a lifetime being anywhere. And doing that, I realized I got to start doing my own stuff. And now we are doing our own stuff. We're doing The Garden, which is a brand new kids cartoon, as Julianne said. You can go to gardencartoon.com. I'll put it in the chat. You guys can check it out. Get the first episode for free. We're making 40 episodes. Currently now we're on PureFlix. Our Christmas episodes on PureFlix. We'll be streaming 7 episodes beginning January 1st. We're on the biggest Australian Christian channel in the world right now. We're at christiancinema.com. And on Yippee TV, and so we've just started to get us on some platforms now. But that took a lot of doing, a lot of learning, a lot of meetings. And do you have what it takes to be in on all that stuff? I have a question here. Actually, somebody asked me, and Ryan, I'm so sorry I'm going on. I'll let you answer some stuff in a second. But someone says, "Can I sell a show my first time out?" That was a question that came in earlier. Can I sell a show my first time out? I'm just going to answer you straight up. No, you can't. You're not going to sell when your first time out. I've never met anybody that has, unless that person has had 8 or 9 years of experience in the industry, not selling shows, but at least being in the industry, being in a studio. You can't just walk in off the street and sell a show. You have no track record. You've got to start developing a track record. You've got to start developing some sort of a basis for some success. Ryan himself knows this, and I know Carly will say the same thing when she comes on. But you need to have done something people can look at, and then so they can trust you. And you're going to have some experience. So you might have the most genius idea in the world, but unless you have some experience, you're not going to sell a show. You got to get some experience,
Yeah.
So Ryan, what can you say?
Yeah, I mean, I literally wrote a book about that the answer to that question about the setback to the setup and things radically changing from what I initially thought, which I think if you're really following the right path, it always leads to a direction you would not have initially thought, but it's always so much better when you, especially, if you're, partnering with the Holy Spirit in that. But I think you guys are a great example. Just when I was talking to Julianne the other day, this whole thing with the garden, I mean, this kind of wasn't something you were setting out to do. You guys have been working on a bunch of other things, one thing in particular, and yet this just kind of presented itself. And you've gotten unbelievable traction. And I just had a long call with one of the other guys I work with today. Same thing. It's amazing how when you let you're diligent. And he put it really well. There's this process of resting and trusting and trying not to force or strive, but there's also at the same time this practical application, that faith will always manifest in some kind of mindset shift that inevitably leads to a different way of doing things and practical steps. And I think you guys are a great example. I mean, you're on PureFlix, you're in the biggest, platform in Australia. You've got all these things happening, yet correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think this thing was necessarily something you were specifically setting out to do. It kind of just happened after years or decades of sowing seed.
Yeah.
Very, very true. And not that we didn't welcome it when it did show up, but it wasn't something also that didn't drop. I mean, I thought of the idea for this cartoon in 2006. And so it's been in my head and my heart for almost 20 years itself.
Until 2015, when we made 7 of our own episodes. That was just something that the Lord told us to do. So we did it. And then they just kind of sat for the last 5.5 years.
We put them one place. We had them on Andrew Womack's Gospel Truth TV. We put them there. We love Andrew dearly, so we gave them to him just to air. And people actually started liking them. And lo and behold, we got a chance to show, to get some more support for it. And we were able to show those episodes as like a proof of concept almost. So have you out there, those of you watching, have you guys made a proof of concept yet for your idea? Maybe you have, or maybe you've started to. But it's really great to get that proof of concept in the can, or at least get it going so people can see what you're made of. And I always say, everyone's got one of these right here. I have all these people that want to be filmmakers. I meet them all the time. They want to be movie makers, filmmakers, and all that stuff. Well, make some videos and let's see what you can do with the limits of an iPhone. In fact, iPhones aren't even that limited anymore. You can almost edit a whole movie on an iPhone now. It's crazy.
Right.
You can take all your classes on your phone, probably. You can do all kinds of things. There's really no excuse anymore for not being able to at least try doing what it is you love. And as you go through life, you're going to meet people that are talkers and people that are doers. You really will.
Yes. And so you want to be with the ones that are the doers. Some of them talk a lot, but they don't do anything. And I think if you hang out with them long enough, you'll be able to see who they are. Because you know what? You're going to be only as productive as your 10 closest friends. So think about it, like, who do I hang out with? Are these people that are like literally, vision-minded, driven, and really want to do some things that, that are amazing and crazy, and or do they just want to just go do their job and come home and do nothing? And with that is fine. But if you have dreams and you've got visions and you want to get out there and get it done, you better get with people that also have that same kind of thought pattern, that same kind of energy, and that same kind of fervency to get it done.
Yeah. And let me say another question here.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on that real quick, if it's okay.
Go ahead.
That's how we all connected, because you guys, obviously, Nathaniel, Carly, and I were, as I say, birds of a feather flock together. And the more that you start hanging out with those kinds of people, the more momentum you each mutually generate. And I think there's that saying, I forget exactly how it goes, but something like, if you want to fly with the eagles, then don't hang out with the turkeys, right? And that's so true. The power of association. I've seen that.
Turkeys are the dumbest animal. They're one of the dumbest creatures on earth. I mean, they're
maybe
brave.
That's why they have L-tryptophan in them, and you get really tired when you eat.
But they have like because L-tryptophan sounds like a sounds like a superhero. I am L-tryptophan.
Tryptophan. Though you're right, Julian. That's what puts you to sleep after Thanksgiving.
I know. But you ever heard the term bird brain? They really have a brain the size of a pea, of a walnut.
Right. Yeah. And you got to exercise those muscles and expand your capacity, your brain, your whatever it is, your skill set. And I really cannot agree with that more, that when you get around people that are going places, that are actually applying themselves, that are taking vision and action and putting them together, it really is amazing. And then you start to connect to their network and they connect to your network. I mean, that's how we all connected. And, that just generates its own momentum, but you've got to get to that point, and there's some intentionality there. And then it's amazing how things just start kind of like a gravity almost, draws you into a certain orbit.
And how do you find those people to hang out
Yeah.
with. I want to ask everybody out there, how do you find those people?
Well, you can join groups and stuff of like,
Well, you
for
start here
instance-
on a broadcast like this.
Yeah.
You start here. This is a good place to
yeah,
start.
there's an organization called Wealth Builders, and that's in there in the Denver area.
And it
that's
says it
really-
right there in the title. Wealth
Wealth
Builders.
Builders, right? You want to build
The
wealth?
mystery is what's going on there.
Yeah, go hang out with people that want to build wealth. You could go to the loser club and do no, I'm kidding. But there's go hang out with people like in those kind of conferences, or like even the Grant Cardones and the 10X and all those kind of conferences. Go and be around people, because people are there for a reason. Obviously, they want to learn. They've got a mind to learn. Maybe they've already been there and done that. They want to reinvent themselves. Maybe they are starting out for the first time. Maybe they just are there to help other people. I don't know. But I mean, that's what I would do, is I would start joining groups and getting into, conferences and seminars, whatever, even on Zooms, to really start meeting people that are like-minded, that want to go and do great things.
And, for example, like a Grant Cardone seminar or something like that, those things cost money to attend.
Oh yeah, they're expensive.
And a lot of people go like, well, it costs money, I can't go. That's the first thing people think.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where the enemy wants you to be. He wants you to think you can't do anything because you can't afford anything, because no one in your family has ever been able to afford anything. So therefore, why should I be able to afford anything? Well, like I've said before here, and I think all of us have said this, rich people, successful people don't ask, they don't say, I can't do it. They say, how can I do it?
Right.
They say, how can I afford this? Alexandra here says, reminds me of the proximity principle. She has done a proof of concept with her awesome comic book. And then she asked me, wasn't Bird Brain a tough puppy character of mine? Yes, he was. He was an evil bird villain who had a giant head, but he couldn't fly. He was a flightless bird. He was very frustrated. It was a blue-bottomed booby. That's what he was. Yes, he was.
How can you say that and be
I am
serious?
Bird Brain, and he had this giant brain. But he was.
But I want to say that with Vision Possible, it's kind of interesting, because we are people, all of us, Nathaniel, Carly, we're all people that really do want to help people. And so there's a soft spot in our hearts to where we're like, well, we don't really want to charge much when we do our conferences, because we want everybody to come. But the unfortunate thing about that is that people will not commit themselves when they only pay $100 or $50. And it really is unfortunate, because when you're going to like these 10X ones, like, $10,000, you are going to start day one. What happens day one? Because I just put out all that money. This has got to work for me. So I hate the fact that it is that way, but there's something about the human brain that makes that happen. They're like, I made this huge investment. Whereas, you've got people like us that are actually out doing it every day, that, that we're successful in the fields that we're in. And we want to charge you $50 to $100, and you're going, I can't afford it. Like, no, you can afford it. So I don't know. I just want to say that, it's unfortunate, but, we all kind of have to, raise our rate so that people actually will do something about it and care and put some effort behind what they do day one after they've left your conference.
Alexandra here says, people who pay for conferences pay attention. That's true. That's really well said, Alexandra. There's another question that came in earlier as well. And by the way, guys, if you have a question, put it in the chat, please. We'd love to hear from you. Even if you've asked the question before, doesn't matter if we've repeated the answer. Sometimes you need to hear it repeated. Someone asked this: what about vaccination status? I'm not vaccinated. Will that affect my job search?
It might.
Someone asked me this earlier. And in Hollywood, there's a lot of studios that really demand you be vaccinated,
or you have to be tested, I think, every day.
Every day.
Something like that. But that's a real thing right now. I mean, not in a lot of different fields, but in our business it is. So you have to make a choice. That's not something that we would ever tell you what to do, but you have to make that choice.
Right.
And it's it's unfortunate that someone will be put in that situation. But you know what? You got to figure it out on your own and decide.
You need to ask yourself, is any job worth making a decision you don't want to make?
Yeah.
Or do want to make, or whatever it is. Whether you're vaccinated or not, that's not what we're talking about. But we're talking about that's an obstacle that is now something people have to deal with.
Right.
In certain situations. So that comes down to you. It comes down to what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Another question that has come in here. Let's see, an earlier one.
I have some too.
Oh, here's one. Okay. Can I work remotely no matter what job I am in? Ryan, what about that?
I don't think any job. I happen to be able to work remotely pretty effectively just because of the nature of my job. But I think, doing something like what Butch does, I don't know. I mean, you guys maybe have pivoted to that, but I think there are certain things, or at least at some point in some season, that you do need to be actively showing up in person. There's no replacement for in-person connection and conversation, people seeing your face and vice versa. There's just a different dynamic. And I think, some jobs, yeah, absolutely, you can make it work remotely. Whether or not you should is another question altogether. But and some jobs are great remote. I think other ones, yeah, obviously a doctor couldn't do his job remotely unless it's just a telehealth consulting. If they need to put their hands on people, if they're a surgeon, obviously they can't do that. There are probably, a number of things you could fill in the blank for. Butch, what do you think about, what you did, or at least initially? Is that something you could do remotely in this day and age?
Oh yeah, I mean we have animators that do their work remotely for us all the time. However, I got to tell you, we had our, like Julianne said earlier, we had our big premiere this weekend for our cartoon. We were at a big theater here in town. We showed our 2 episodes of our new cartoon, The Garden, on the big screen. We had like 110 kids in there. We had our costume characters. Wait, they're not costume characters. They're real characters.
Real
Sorry,
characters.
They were real characters. We had press there. It was just amazing. And that was one of the first times I got to actually meet my animators face to face. They all, like 4 or 5 of them showed up, and it's like, oh, you're the people I've been dealing with via email or on the Zoom, and it's fine. They all do amazing work. They do it at their house because being an artist, you can definitely work remotely. But I come from the old school. I started working in the 1980s, where you had to work in the same building, the same room, be creative with everybody. And I really do think it fosters competition when you're in a room with somebody else. Oh, that guy draws like that. Oh, I want to learn how to draw like that. Or I want to, and also fosters friendships too. You make friends that way. You make friends, you make acquaintances when you're in the same room. And I think it enhances the creativity. So can you work remotely? Oh, sure you can. If there's no choice, absolutely. But if you get into a room where you're creative or be in a situation where you're able to share time with people, I highly recommend that. I think I prefer that. Again, you might go, oh, that's an old guy thing, but I'm not really that old.
Who said that? That's just in your head.
You just don't understand. You don't understand. Nowadays
you're not an old guy. If you're an old guy, then I'm married to an old guy.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, I've got a question here that's probably going to be good for Ryan, and the question is, how do you stay disciplined when you are working, when you own your own business and you work from home?
Oh.
That's a great question. If you love what you do and you're naturally gifted at it, I think if anything, it takes a long time to get there. I mean, I'm 42 and I just feel like in the last couple of years, I've kind of gotten to what I call the sweet spot. But I think that in my case, I almost have to pull myself away. It becomes like an unhealthy one-dimensional obsession, like Butch mentioned the social life earlier. That's something I need to start cultivating once I get through the next couple of weeks more intentionally in this new season. And, and at the same time, there's a lot of people on the other end of the spectrum have a real problem or challenge staying, focused and structured and disciplined. And maybe that's why I'm saying a work at home job isn't the best for them. Hey, Carly.
Hi.
Hey, Carly. I'm glad you came on.
Look at her.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
What?
I said
Carly,
thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, good. Yeah. So we were just asked. Someone had just written us and asked us how do you handle your schedule when you are, a self-employed, you're working at home. How do you stay motivated? Which you can answer that question too, because you used to be self-employed. And now, you haven't been for the last 2 years, or has it been 3 years?
It was 2020. It'll be 3 years in February.
Gosh. Okay. So yeah, how was that for you? How did you stay motivated? Carly?
I always change my surroundings. I went to coffee shops all the time and had to go different places to stay motivated, or just like change rooms in the house. because I also created my own schedule. So I wasn't like at a 9 to 5 that was remote. I was like a business owner creating my own schedule as well as like routine, and I had to work at a place that would keep me motivated. So I would go to a coffee shop if I needed more energy, or I would stay at home if I needed to really focus. It just depended on what I needed.
Okay. All right.
Alexandra Nelson says, "Hi, Carly."
Hello, Alexandra Nelson.
I want to say to our audience, Alex.
Uh-oh. I think
Oh,
they just cut out.
hello, Ryan.
Good to see you, Carly. Did you just get your beautiful hair did?
Yeah, I did.
I can tell. Looks
Thanks.
glorious.
Thank you so much.
And you have the post-engagement glow. Congratulations. I was so happy to see that on
Oh,
Facebook.
thank you so much. Yes, VP audience. I got engaged
Woo! Yay!
2 weeks ago now. So excited.
That's amazing. I have to say, it seemed like a great fit when you guys first got together, and I'm not surprised, but nonetheless still overjoyed to see that.
Thank you so much. We are so excited. So the VP audience will love Levi. Can't wait to introduce all of you VPers to him.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about how, getting around other people who are motivated and visionary and are going after things is really important, and how that really builds a lot of momentum. I said how that's how we all connected, and I think you and Levi are a great example of that too. They're back.
So great.
I don't know what happened, guys.
We just left. We left the room.
Sometimes the awesomeness, the internet can't handle the awesomeness. I apologize. I was going to say, people in the chat, if you have questions, please ask us, because we have Alexandra, who's awesome, asking us all kinds, and we're so glad.
I do have
But
another
more
question
people
that
ask
came
us
in
questions.
earlier, and that was for you, Carly. That how do you deal with an employee that on your team that's not pulling their weight, and you've had this conversation with them many times?
Ooh, that's good. So an employee or a coworker?
Well, someone that's on your team that you're leading. That's what. Well, the person said whoever you're leading. So whoever you're leading.
And the question is how to talk to them about it?
Yeah, because you've already talked to them a few times, but nothing is changing.
Gotcha. Well, I'm still learning in this myself. But in terms of like being a business owner, it's just like you got to set expectations up front, and then to begin with, like that really helps with communication, and then having a great like growth plan and or like checkpoint system to check in. I've learned to see if they are improving like certain things by certain dates to kind of help them grow with that. Has helped me, because that way it kind of like empowers them to see that there's change available, but it's not on you saying like you have to do this or else, but it's like making them a leader out of it. So that's what I've learned with my experience, but I'm still learning this one. So it's actually a tough question for me, but
Like
it's
what about as you're not the business owner and you're leading a team? Because I think you have a team of like 15 people or.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like you have to focus on rallying a team and like making sure everyone's aligned to the same goal and is passionate about what they are doing, because if you're not passionate about it and it's just to make money, like it's hard to keep someone motivated. So as long as you can rally people around a certain like goal and passion, then it always help them, first of all, take ownership of what you're trying to accomplish, and then we'll automatically do something like that. But if you need to also encourage them to continue to grow, the same thing, just having like checkpoints and just sharing like the overall vision helps motivate to keep them going forward. But I'm not a leader in my job, so I'm not fully familiar with the actual leadership process.
Well, whether you're the person that it doesn't care and they're just there to do the job, no matter what, because that might be you, and you're there because you need money. So I would say, first of all, on that, to check your own heart on that, because someday, you're paying it forward almost. Someday you might have to have people work for you. And so, and what is it like when you've got someone that you feel like you have to pull and you got to perform for almost to get them to do things? And so I think that that's something that you need to check your own heart about and say, like, if maybe it's just you don't like the company, or maybe, you know, you've got another vision that's so much strong in your head, like that this is all you really want to focus on, but I got to do this other job because I need money. No matter what, you're helping someone else's vision, so someday that you can have your own vision. So either way, you are teaching yourself, you're disciplining yourself that, you know, to be able to be, you know, a good worker, someone that wants to get along with everybody, and someone that wants to be a team player. There's nothing worse than being the team leader and your team doesn't want to play. It's like, you want to pull your hair out sometimes.
And I think that goes back to something Carly just said, which is really important, which is, you know, if you're not passionate about it, and I said this earlier, you know, in so many words, if you're not passionate about it, it's not important to you, then that's probably going to be the result. And of course, we all have to do jobs that we don't necessarily want to at times. But I think after a long enough time, there's a deeper question, which is like, why is it that you're having to be poked and prodded and pulled along? Again, if you find that thing, and this is very much, you know, an investment and a journey, but when you find that thing that you love, that you were born to do, that comes naturally and easily to you, that you're adding a lot of value and you're really interested in, you can see the impact it's having. It's almost like you have to pull yourself away. So the question is sometimes whether you're whichever side of that spectrum you're on, I think the deeper question is, you know, is this the right fit for you? You know, because we don't want to have to like twist arms and get people to do things. Of course, that's necessary sometimes, but I think it's like, you know, nobody should be in that position. It's not good for the employer, the employee, the team leader, the, you know, the whoever's on the team, that you should be looking for a place where that's never an issue because you just can't help yourself and you're propelled forward by that passion. And again, that is a process that takes a long time to get to, but that's something I've been thinking about a lot more is like, you know, if this is something you have to force yourself to show up to, then it's not doing anybody any favors.
I want to read, Alexandra's got a question. This question is for Julianne. I was forced to go on medical leave because of dizziness issues. I would uncontrollably fall down, and we're working on getting the right doctor's appointments and everything. How do I stand for my healing and earn income while dealing with these issues?
Well, Alexandra, I would like to, I mean, I can address that a little bit, but I'd rather talk to you on the phone because that's a more personal thing that I'd like to talk to you about.
Well, let's just simplify it a little bit. Like if you are dealing with something that is like a physical thing,
yeah,
how do you still earn income and pursue your vision? What do
well,
you know?
I mean, if there's something that you can do at home, you know, at a remote, what we just talked about, you know, obviously that would be the ultimate. So you can still make money and still pursue all the things that you want to do. I know you, Alexandra, and you're very creative, and you are a team player. So people are going to miss you at your job because you are such a team player, and you're fun to be around, and you're very uplifting. And so, but I would find something you can do if your employer is not letting you come to work, then yeah, you're going to need to find something at home that you can do remote. Because you're such a young person. You're not just going to go and sit at home and do nothing. That's going to destroy you.
But
right?
see, a lot of people think that's what young people are supposed to do: sit at home and collect a paycheck from the government and don't work. And you know, that's really not what we're encouraging here. We're encouraging get out there and earn your own way, because that's a much more satisfying and gratifying way. And you can teach other people how to do it that way too.
Yeah. So Alexandra, I will call you personally because I have your number.
That's right. Here's another question. Let me see what I got here. Here's another question that came in earlier. Let me see. Oh, things seem to be going slowly. Why won't this speed up?
Well, that's kind of a hard question to answer because we don't know what you're doing.
Or how, I don't know why it's going slowly, but you can't blame the situation for going slowly. We can only blame ourselves.
Well, it's not
going slowly.
I don't know if it's a blame game or whatever.
Oh, it is a blame game. Oh no, it is.
But right now we I mean, if you're talking the last couple of weeks too, because we are headed into the holiday season, and I don't want you to be too, you know, sad about this or down about it, but a lot of things aren't going to happen after next week, right? After that, the 20th of December rolls around. no one's going to look at your stuff. Just like I was saying to Ryan before you came on, Carly, that, like right now, that's before we launched our show on Saturday, I had to go to whatever was literally on fire that I had to put out. I couldn't look at the peripheral. I had too much going on. And so people are just getting done what they need to get done so that they can be ready for the holidays. People want to take off. When you don't own the business, you're going to take off.
I don't know why anybody travels during the holidays. I would rather travel on some off time because everybody goes at the same time. And you're like, why don't you guys wait a week and go wait a week
Well,
later?
we're actually traveling this week, but that's for business.
It's only an hour flight though.
Yeah,
we're going pretty close.
But still, starting like the 20th of December, whether you've got like a show that's being looked at by a production company or, you've got a resume in somewhere, now what happens after the 20th? So don't beat yourself up about it. Just keep searching for whatever it is that you're looking for. Keep working on your project. There's always ways to improve any project. Seriously, there's always something that you can improve on. You can, I don't know, reevaluate some parts of it, or whether it's entertainment or if it's, an invention that you have, whatever it might be. But there's always something you can do. You can also start looking at what other people do that's in your business. How do other people do social media? What would social media look like for you if it's your own business? There's so much you can do. So don't feel like things are not moving. Because I think you actually drive the car.
And, like last year at this time, we were still making our episodes of The Garden. I've made thousands of hours of TV and, it never really gets any faster. You want to make an episode of a cartoon, it's going to take this many months with this many people.
Yeah.
And now again, those things vary a little bit, but it's like, a year ago, we didn't have any episodes delivered at all. Now we have 10 episodes delivered that are done. We can show to people now. I got to show 2 of them in the theater the other day. Now I have an actual product I can begin to deliver to people and show it to them. And they can see what the vision's all about. So it will take time. It will take time.
Yeah, we have our app that's coming out in January. So
this app is so cool, you guys. I'm going to show you.
Yeah,
I should probably show them a little preview. I'm going to show you a preview of the app on Vision Possible right here. It looks like this, the Garden app where the gospel grows. And you go there and you have a little avatar. You go here and then you have all your episodes, your songs, your like right here. I can watch episodes right here. Wait. Oh yeah, there we go. Wait, there we go. So we have our episodes here. And then we go back here. There's music playing. If I turn the music on, you'd want to shut it off because it's got a cool loop. But it's like after 10 seconds, you're like, turn off the music. But and then here we have our curriculum. If you watch an episode about sharing or love or whatever, now you have a whole Bible lesson you can go into here with scripture and songs and activities and all this cool stuff right here. And then wait, let that spin up. There we go. Then you can watch the songs here individually. We have testimonials. We have a game. We have a game here. We're gonna have a bunch of games you can play. Kids can play games right here, and it's pretty fun. So this game is called Rainbow Rider, and you can play as Lucy. You go down the rainbow here. Oops, I fell off the rainbow already. I'm playing it backwards, but you can play the rainbow game. Anything. It's really, really fun. And yeah, so this is great for families, for kids, for moms. Moms can feel completely safe. And the cool thing about the app, we might have a few episodes out there streaming on some streaming platforms, but the app is going to have new episodes every single month that aren't on the streaming platforms. So you can get new original episodes on here while you watch things on the streaming services too. So, and by the way, is this the same game plan we'll have next year? I don't know.
No,
but it is for now.
But it's amazing and it's exciting.
It looks amazing. I did not know you guys had an app. That looks so cool.
Oh yeah.
Dude, you're right. It's a killer app. It looks beautiful.
And Carly, did you have something else you wanted to say? I felt like we interrupted.
No, I don't think so. That was it.
Oh,
That's
okay.
great lighting in your set there, Carly. You look.
Yeah.
That's beautiful lighting.
Thank
The
you.
dashboard
Well, and
light.
also just to let you guys know too that we've hired Carly to do our social media marketing for us.
You guys can go check out the Garden Cartoon on Instagram and go to gardencartoon.com. In fact, can I make a comment here? I want to put that in the comments.
Yeah, I think you can just right over there. But she's done an amazing job. Her whole team has. And you have your team in your side job, but it looks amazing. And so, you know what, Carly? So maybe you can give some insight on how do you deal with, you've got a full-time job, plus you've got some side gigs you're doing. how do you discipline yourself to keep all your balls up in the
Okay,
air?
when she's done, I
Keep-
have one question
Yeah,
to answer.
and keep juggling so they all don't fall down.
Yeah, well, I think it just depends on the season that you're in. So like I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so I love to pursue multiple things, and my goal is to build my business. So that's what I want to do, but right now my season is to be fully present in my 9 to 5. So that's like my number one goal, is to grow in that and to be fully there for that. So I have like a purposeful ceiling on my business right now that I am trying not to grow as much, so I can really dedicate the best that I can to what I am already committed to with my business. But whenever the season of my job is up, whenever that is, I have no idea when, but whenever it would be, that's when I'll like slowly lift off the ceiling and then create more room for my business, because that is like a big passion of mine. So that's how I kind of juggle things, is I will really make sure I'm saying yes to the right things that are aligned with the season that God has me in. And then I will plan accordingly. So like throughout my week, I work 7 to 4, and then I'll work on my business from 5 to 8 on certain nights. That way I'm fully dedicated to one thing and then fully dedicated to another when I get home. And
everyone knows you're engaged now, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're flaunting that hand around. Do you want to show everybody what's on that?
I think
hand?
when we vanished, I think she told everybody.
I did. I've been using my left hand a lot for the past 2 weeks. So excited. I said that they'll have to meet Levi sometime, the Vision Possible audience.
Yes,
that'd be great. Have the whole team.
He's a great guy.
Yes, but that's about the answer to your question, how I do it. Not perfect at it, but that's what I do, because it just helps with saying yes to a trillion things, yet being fully dedicated to the one thing when you're working on that one thing.
Well, plus I know that because you're our daughter, that you were helping out a friend too with her company. So you said yes to working one night a week at someone else's business. Plus you have your full-time job. Plus you have all of your clients, and you were doing that. It's like,
and you have a dog.
Now let me ask you, and you have a dog.
I'll just tell the group really quick that September was like the craziest month ever for me, because I started my coaching program. So I took on 5 coaching clients that needed me 1 hour a week. And I had my business, which was like the implementation part of social media. And I had my 9 to 5 job. And then I was working at a boutique on Saturdays at a job that I just started a year ago, because I love being around clothes. And I had picked up another job at a local sauna place to do that once a week to help out a friend and to be a part of that community. So I was doing that for the entire month of September, and I was absolutely slammed. So that is what burnout looks like.
I was going to say something else.
And then also, I think you forgot something called Gray.
Yes, in the middle of that, I had a conference that I was absolutely like slammed to plan in 7 days. So it was a crazy month for Carly.
Looking like a true Hartman.
Okay,
we do a lot.
I have a question here. Peyton Lee, who I've met before, hi Peyton, says, "Hey Butch, what's my next step to try and get my book made into a cartoon?" Wow, Peyton, that's a big question, and it's not easy, but it's not impossible at all. However, your book has to be, in order to get it made into anything, first of all, you could do it on your own if you want. You could get your cartoon made all by yourself. You could, start, if you're an animator, you can start animating it yourself. You could have some friends animate it for you. But if you're talking to get it made into a cartoon like on Nickelodeon or like Disney Channel or Disney Plus or something like that, your book has to be a bestseller. You're going to have a book that is a very successful book, like Diary of a Wimpy Kid or Harry Potter or something like that. Not that it can't be like that. Maybe it can be. I hope it does get to be successful. But big studios will very, very, very rarely make anything that's not already a success. There's very few Disney movies that weren't books first, or very few Marvel movies. Every Marvel movie was a comic book first. Every single one. Some are bad, some are pretty great. But they unless you get a Star Wars, then you get a Star Wars that wasn't a book first. It was just a screenplay that got made into a movie. That's like a once in a lifetime situation there. But try and get your book to a publisher is what I would try and do, and see what a publisher says about it. They'll give you notes. They'll give you thoughts. You might just get a standard rejection letter. They do that all the time too. Don't be discouraged by that. But that's the reality of trying to get it made into a serious thing. For someone to give you millions of dollars to make something out of your book, the book has to be a success first.
Yeah. Plus the fact you gotta kind of know. I mean, I don't know your experience, but do you know what you would even do if someone approached you and said, "Hey, we want to take that book and make it a cartoon"?
Right.
You know, you go from 0 to 1,000, be like going to the gym and I've never lifted a weight and I'm going to go to the 80-pound dumbbells. Well, I'm probably going to rip out all my bicep muscles and everything else just trying to lift that because I'm not prepared for it. So if you can, you know, really start looking at maybe doing something a little bit less of a behemoth of a
bohemian.
no, a behemoth.
A behemoth. Yes. Sorry.
Behemoth.
I behemoth. Yes.
This giant thing of turning your book into a cartoon. It's a lot. It's huge.
Yeah. And if
It's
you've never
so
made
big.
and if you've never made a cartoon before, it's going to be even harder. So I would just suggest stick with the book for now. Make the book a success, and all the other stuff will come out of it. The ancillary stuff.
Why don't you take maybe a few of your characters and just, I don't know if you animate, but go on Fiverr, get some people to animate your stuff and put it on YouTube. Start with that. Something very small.
Don't just gloss over Fiverr. Tell them what Fiverr is.
Okay, Fiverr it's a website where you can pretty much get anything done for cheap like this. For instance, you need a voiceover for something that you're doing. You go on, you listen to different people's audition tapes. You decide who you like, who you don't like. You can have somebody, you can have animators on there. You can look at their stuff and see if you like them. There's artists that will do book covers for you, graphic artists. There's, logos. There's everything. I think you could even pretty much create the whole show based on Fiverr with all the different assets of Fiverr. But anyway, there are things that you can do. You can put it on YouTube, you know, and whatever, 2 minutes long or something.
So getting a following for your book is key as well. Maybe it obviously won't start off as a bestseller. No book does, but some books come right out of the gate and they're huge successes because they're promoted by the publisher. You need to do your own promoting. It means you need a YouTube channel, a social media presence. You need to get your book out there so people know what the heck it is. That really rests on you. And if you sit back and go, well, I don't know how to do any of that, start learning. Yeah, well, this broadcast is a great place to start. But there's other places you can hire Carly, have her teach you social media. You can hire Ryan to have him teach you about, you know, when that funding starts coming in, what do you do with it? You can hire us to coach you or whatever.
We just had a friend of a girl, she comes to our church, and she wrote a book, and Barnes and Noble let her do the launch there, the book signing launch there. And it was huge. It was like this huge turnout. And so she said, I'm like shocked that I'm even here.
Wait, did she get a publisher though?
No, she self-published it.
She self-published it, but Barnes and Noble, the bookstore,
let
her
wants to carry it.
Yeah, she went in there, asked Barnes and Noble, I've got this book I self-published. Can I come and sign it here? And they said, sure. So she made it into an event and she started generating a word called buzz. There was buzz around it.
Yeah. So, anything is possible, but you're going to have to research. You're going to put the work into it. It takes a lot of time and work.
Guys, we got 2 minutes left.
Is there any more questions on there?
I don't see any on here. But how about some closing remarks? Ryan, any closing remarks? And we're going into the new year. We won't even see these fine people, these visionaries, till the new year.
I know.
I know, it's crazy. I feel like we were just having this conversation at this point last year, but man, there's so much good stuff that was said today. But I think that, you know, start with what you can now and don't despise the days of humble beginnings, and don't be discouraged if it takes a long time, because I think for all of us, we can probably relate at some point or another in our lives where it seemed like things were taking forever to happen. And then you'd be so surprised all of a sudden, it's just like, you know, it comes like that. And there's something you said, Julianne, a minute ago that I just wanted to capture, which is that, are you prepared to handle the increase? If what you're hoping happens, are you even ready? Do you have the next step? Do you have vision beyond your resources, connections, or abilities, that if somebody were to come to you and that, you know, where opportunity meets preparation, right? That's what success is in some people's definition. Would you be ready to step forward? And if not, maybe keep cultivating that, but don't despise the days of humble beginnings. Keep sowing into what you're doing, even the little things, and it will come to fruition.
Yeah, and I'll just say, since we're not seeing you until January, I just had my last conference of the year called Gray, and so we had our 4th one of the year on Saturday, and we prepped for January in that. And I had everyone write down 1 personal, professional, there I am with the hand again, so sorry, personal, professional, physical, spiritual, and financial goal. So if you don't know where to start with goals, just write down one of each of those 5. And that way you can have a good starting point when it comes to how
you turn your hand around and give us the 5 again real quick.
Yeah, the 5 things. Personal, physical, financial, and spiritual goals that you can prep for January 1st. So that way you know what to tackle next year.
A couple of things. Thank you, Carly. That was great. And thank you, Ryan. The Living Blue Jay says, I like how she mentioned that as well. The Are You Prepared concept probably wouldn't have crossed my mind unless I heard it mentioned here.
Yeah.
And Tyler Spickinell says, can I work from Indiana? My question for Tyler is, work on what? What are you talking about, Tyler?
Yeah, work on what? Can you? Well, Indiana, like you're
what do you
not
do?
allowed to work.
Do you do car repair? Do you do, are you a spy? I don't know what you are. You got to tell us what you are.
No, I just want to add my last thing is that, and listen, we all do this. When sometimes we're looking for excuses why things haven't moved yet and why things aren't, that we're not moving forward. Now, the real story on the inside might be, I'm afraid, I don't know how to do it. I'm too tired. I don't have the mental capacity to do this. I want someone else to do it for me, whatever. But then we will use the excuse of, well, I don't know. I don't know what, someone just needs to make this book into a movie. I'm not saying that you're doing this, but I've heard this a lot. I'm waiting for someone to turn my this into that. Mm-hmm. But you're waiting for someone else to do something that you are responsible for doing.
Mm-hmm. And I want someone else to raise my child.
Yeah. And believe me, there's lots of things I wish I could say. I wish I could have someone else do some of the stuff I do, but don't use that as an excuse. This is your project. This is your baby. This is something that God gave you to do specifically. Don't sit here and wait because maybe you're being a little lazy or you're just, I don't know, don't want to put a lot of time into it, but you want the results. You want these huge results, but you may not want to put all the time into it. Don't let somebody else do that for you because you're never going to have anybody represent your project or your product or your baby the way you would. And so don't look for excuses anymore. You go do it yourself and someone will come around you and you'll know who they are because they will have that same desire in their heart and their eyes to help you do it. But until then, you do it on your own and quit making excuses why your project hasn't lifted off yet, because it's probably you that's keeping it from.
And we're going to end it right there. And Tyler says, work on TV shows. Tyler, you can't work on Hollywood TV shows from Indiana. You can work on Indiana TV shows, but not Hollywood ones. That's all I'm going to say. All right, guys, thanks for joining us.
So much.
Have a Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year. And we'll see you in 2023. Woo! It's the year your vision comes to pass. We love you guys.
Bye.
Guys, bye.